All right, good morning. We are still here. It's still the dawn on VOS TV. I hope you didn't miss me too much because I was just thinking on how we could come back quickly so we could get back to the talking. Okay, I'm not the only one in the studio right now. Remember, I told you I'll be having a guest and we'll also be talking about the topic. Firstly, the topic for today is education and the society. And my awesome guest is actually Dr. Bright Onyovokuko. I had to actually look at that so that I don't make mistake. The name is so special. Good morning, Mr. Bright.
Good morning, Mary Jane.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to have you here today. Okay, straight into our topic, education and the society. We all know how important, how sacrosanct, how pertinent the issue of education is in this country, or at large, on any formal basis, anyhow you want to put it. Education is really, really important. Okay, first of all, I want you to define or just tell us what education is to you.
Well, simply put, since you've already brought it open and outside, education is transfer of knowledge.
Okay.
Let me simply put transfer of knowledge, which can be either in the classroom or outside the classroom. But when you are transferring knowledge from one person to another, you are educating that particular person.
Wow, exactly. Thank you very much. Well, I believe that, okay, I have here that education brings a natural lasting change in an individual's reasoning and the ability to achieve the targeted goal. It actually facilitates us to investigate our own considerations and thoughts and makes it ready to express it in various ways. You can imagine. So if I am educated, I'm actually able to do a lot of reasoning, not just any kind of reasoning, cognitive reasoning, the rational kind of thinking. So it actually helps us know our right from wrong. Okay, let me not go into ethics right now because it's like the rema is burning. But let me also ask you, sir, what would you define society as?
Well, things are evolving.
Okay.
So it could actually be a group of people who may have same, diverse, or maybe common interests. So it could be a group of people, it could be a group of families, you know, they are just existing usually in a geographical
space.
Location, as the case may be.
Yes, that's nice. I'm feeling like a teacher this morning. So if I'm your teacher, I'll give you, let me not be selfish with marks, I'll give you 9/10. Because you actually said group and then you said interact, because that's what a society is. A group of people with social interaction. They have to interact, they have to communicate. We don't know that no man is an island. No man is an island. Yes, you must definitely want something from your neighbor. You must definitely want to interact with your neighbor. So no matter what you do, you must interact. The moment you stay on your own, the moment you actually get limited things in terms of knowledge, otherwise, anyhow you want to put it. So that's it. So right now in Nigeria, I know that the educational sector, they are facing some hiccups. I mean, we hear of strike here, strike there. So many persons are no longer valuing the education. I mean, so many persons, they don't want to even go to school. They just feel like it's best that they just go and learn one trade or something, which I actually feel it's not a bad thing. But is the value of education in this country increasing or decreasing?
Well, to be candid, that would sound like any response may actually be subjective, you know, depending on where you are actually coming from. So if we actually look at education, any form of education that will entails passing information from one person to another, because once you are informed, you are empowered to do better than the way you are. Like you rightly mentioned, your way of reasoning, your approach, and so many other things, whether be the formal or the informal learning. So long you've already had that knowledge, it's supposed to help. Now, when one is educated, it actually gives the person leverage or opportunity to move from the level he or she was operating before to another level. But when you now have a system wherein after acquiring your education, your status, nothing changes. It's just like remaining the way you were. So gradually, you start having a situation whereby of what value is this. Let's say, for example, somebody goes to the university, or if somebody is studying very hard, so say, okay, when I get to university, once I graduate, I will get a job. I should be able to meet the various needs that I was unable to meet. Probably the parents were unable to meet some of his needs, and he chooses to say, okay, with this education, I will have access to opportunity. When you now have a society whereby after graduation, the person is looking for a job all over the place, and the person again comes back to a level wherein those who were not even educated are also operating on. At that point, how much can the person talk? You understand?
What can you boast of?
Now, if you look at our society, our value is gradually shifting from what you are in terms of what you have inside to offer to how much cash that you have either in your hand or your bank, or what you can actually spend. You understand? So when people look at this, okay, how much is in your bank account? So they actually tell you, forget about it. It is not about the grammar. It is just for us to actually.
What's the end product of this your education?
Understand. So at the end of the day, how will such a person motivate those who are coming up? Like let's say in the 60s or thereabouts. Oh, this person is a graduate, for example. He has been able to get access. He may never get to the university itself. Even he has even finished secondary school. Opportunities are all over. So you see everybody wanting to. So whenever such person comes to the community, people want to gather around the person. They want to hear his
how he
stories
speaks,
and everything. Is motivating young people to come up. But our society today is having like a shift, and I feel we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to go back to the drawing board. We actually need a value orientation when it comes to our educational system. We must go back to our society to see how we can reward merit. That's a common analogy you get is you have something like this program that they go camp in one place, stay for 1 month, maybe 3 months, then after then they are being paid millions of naira, vehicles, and so many other things. Meanwhile, you now have academic activities. What is happening? Oh, the children go for quiz, and the other day you are giving them notebook and whatever. Even leave out those who are being educated within the 4 walls, either university, primary or secondary school. Let's also even go to the informal sector. Yes, I cannot sit in the classroom to read. Let me go and learn a trade. Now, the person goes to learn a trade, is having difficulty starting up.
Sure.
He's having difficulty starting up. So you could have somebody, oh, probably is riding, I'm trying to bring down anybody who is riding bike or keke or whatever, but he's riding a bike, and the next thing you're going to hear him say is he's trying to gather or put money together so that he can go and establish his own business, because this is what he learns. You could also have some ladies who may start doing some petty trade or some other things. So we're trying to put money together. You understand? Ordinarily, the moment they finish learning their trade, there should be that enabling environment that will help that startup.
Make it easier for them.
Yes. And by the time they're able to do that, you see that they can have the confidence to talk to some other persons. Oh, these are my success stories, and these persons will be motivated.
All right, thank you so much. You said a lot on that one. Okay, let's go to the family now. Family is like the first basic social institution for education, and socialization. How much do you think that the family of a child or a family of a child is doing to actually educate that child? Because I believe anything that a child learns first comes from the family, comes from what he hears, what he sees. So what do you think a family should do more to keep a child educated? I know education is not like everything that a child needs in his life, but it's like a lot when you actually raise your child. It affects his approach, his mannerism, his thinking, and all of that. So what do you think a family should actually do to improve the educational level of a child?
Well, the family, they are the first port of call for the young, the child who is actually growing up. And the first thing that the child will learn in that family are their norms. The norms in that particular family is the first thing that that child is going to pick before he goes to use that to act outside. So you're going to first of all pick what is in that place. Yes, greeting. How do you greet in your family? You know, the child sees those things coming up. He will learn. What are the family values? What are the routine things that is being done in the family?
Yes.
They pick those things, and those things will not guide them by the time they go outside. So the family has a very big role to play. The kind of language that the family use matters. How the family interact with other people, probably the neighbor or people in the environment, also matters. What about hygiene? The kind of hygiene that is being practiced in a particular house, the child can also
pick up and learn.
So there are a lot of things that the child can learn. Even the value for formal or informal education can begin from the house, because when some children probably what they even see, they can use to compare with what is going on in their house. So if their parents have value for education, it has a way of spurring them.
Yeah.
It has a way of spurring them. So the family remains the basic place where children can actually learn. So the importance of family in teaching the children is key. It is paramount and is a basic starting point. So one cannot just shy away from it. So we need to encourage parents.
Okay. All right. We have talked about education. We have talked about society. We have talked about family as the basic unit of child's development. And what I want to say is there are other types of education. Like you mentioned now, the formal type of education that actually happens in a classroom. The informal type of education that it doesn't happen in a classroom or an enclosed area. It can happen in the environment. In fact, environmental factors actually influences the informal aspect of education. And there is a non-formal aspect of education. Now we see it in our today's society that people appreciate those who go to school more than those who actually went for the normal, non-formal aspect of education or the type of education. I don't know, because they feel like if you go to school, really education is important. Now we are saying that these three are education. So if you feel like you want to learn a skill, as long as it keeps your mind and body busy and keeps you out of any form of crime or anything, I feel like it's okay. I feel like, yes, you have to have certain level of the classroom education. Then if you choose to do, okay, I want to go into vocation, because we have a lot of tailors, a lot of hairdressers, and a lot of this. If they actually grow their businesses, they will actually become very big. And this or that, yes, education, sorry, the classroom, the formal education actually supports. But why do you think that people are put down because they actually learned, they will just call it not vocation? They actually learned the non-formal education.
Well, you see, when you look at our society, is the trend of what we see. That is what is creating that. We place so much importance to the formal system of learning,
yes,
the classroom style, you know, that we must be in close setting to learn. Again, no emphasis on self-discovery. I think that is what the technical schools were trying to do in terms of bridging the gap. You can learn formally and also put your hands to learn some technical things. For me, it's just mindset of the society, because over time we realize that it's because they've seen that the people who goes to say they want to go and learn a trade are those who cannot actually cope
in school,
who cannot actually cope with that formal aspect that goes out, and some persons just view it as either laziness or some form of
illiteracy, they are dumb.
But to be candid, it is also good that whether you want to go and learn a formal trade, an informal trade or thereabout, there is no problem with it. But it is good you are able to read, write, not for any other thing, so that you will not be cheated.
Yes, and have conversations with persons.
So that you can be able to understand the things that are happening around. Like you have some persons who are graduates, they've left the university, and what are they doing today?
Actually,
they are into fashion, you know, it is time.
In fact, so, people barely use their certificate these days.
You now realize that the IQ of somebody who has a BSc, for example, or HND, or even maybe SSC or primary 6, if you look at their IQ and their approach to business, you're going to discover that they all have different approach to it.
Yes.
Why the person who is probably a BSc holder is thinking big, having ideas on how he can reach out and so many other things.
Yes.
The person who is in probably maybe a primary 6 certificate holder, or didn't even go to school at all, may have that skill, but may not have the IQ to say, well, let me make it this way. But the person can be very good at that job. So you now end up seeing some of them coming in a way that the person who has the BSc, who has come into that business, would employ that person and start giving that person directive. I want it like this, I want it like this, I want it like this. But that person may not have that IQ to think the way the other person is thinking. So it is just what the society actually view. And of course, we've seen a lot of businessmen who have to go employ somebody who will do virtually everything for them that has to do with reading and writing. But again, if you have the basic ability to read and write, it will go a long way to actually help in the business. So because of that, the society just feel, cannot read, he cannot write, what can he offer? But I still believe that there are a whole lot of things that such persons can offer.
All right, what Mr. Bright, Dr. Bright, who is an intellect, what he's saying is actually education refines your crude thoughts, your crude thinking. So it's okay if you still go and learn. It's okay if you can still do one or two things. It's okay if as long as you're able to write, you're able to read, have conversations with other persons, it's okay. And you don't really need to go to the higher level or whatever. If you find out that school is not doing you whatever you want, as long as you take yourself and you go learn a skill or a trade, and then you master on that, you put your heart and soul into it, and then you grow yourself. It's not, you are not where you were last year, and then you are growing, you are learning, you are even teaching other persons, and you are not involved in crime. You are educated, my dear. You are educated. Okay, and quickly, I want to ask you, because you have said a lot. Now, what is the essence of education in the society? Because most persons do not even know. Some persons will just come and they will just like, okay, I don't need to hear that. Education is when you go to school, and when I come out, there's no job. Some persons do not really know the essence of education. They only still think that it's just formal education that is education. They don't know the essence of education. So can you please enlighten us, including me?
Education has to do with information. passing information from one person to another, like we've already said before, passing information from one person to another. So the main essence is our society is the way it is. If we get more information, with those information, we could have more knowledge, and we're going to do things better than we used to
yes.
do. Like you said, education will help us refine a whole lot of crude things that we are having, that we see in our society. It would help. Let's say, for example, we have our forefathers, our traditional people who are into probably like things like root and hair. You know, they will pass the information across. Oh, this is this, this is this is this. But when the person goes to study more, he will understand better, and transferring that knowledge would also be in a different form.
Yes.
You understand? So, but if we are not, we may not be able to do beyond the little we know. The little we know. If you can read and write, yes, you should be able to read some books. Or probably somebody is in a place that is far off. The person has done something. He chooses to write them down. If you read and you understand, you're going to understand what that person has written down, and you can replicate it wherever you are. But if you cannot read, you can have all the books there and it will not help. You don't know how to read. They give you a machine, for example. This machine could make you work better. And you cannot even read the manual.
Yes, you can't read it.
So you realize that education has a whole lot of things to do in our
society and life.
It's going to change our thinking.
Yes.
It's going to change the way we look at things. It's going to change our understanding. And it's going to remove a whole lot of ignorance. Like I used to make an analogy. There is a sign, no parking. For example, no parking. The reaction of somebody who can read that thing and understand it is different from the person who cannot even read it.
Yes.
So if I should go and park somewhere that is written no parking, and somebody accosts me, oh, I could just say I'm sorry.
Yes.
Let me go. The person who cannot read will fight you.
Yes.
Because he doesn't even know that it is written there, no parking. Even if there is a sign, he may not be able to interpret that.
And that person will also argue with you, why can't I park here? Because they don't want to even see that you shouldn't park there. They don't want to even know why they shouldn't park there.
The sign is there.
They just feel like I can park here, my car can stay here, so I should park here.
There is space so I can park. But it's written there, do not want park. So the truth of the matter is that education has a lot of things, whether it be in the classroom. In fact, going out to interact with people is education. That's why I said people will tell you traveling is part of education.
Yes.
If you leave Benin and go to Lagos, or you leave Benin and go to Akwa Ibom, you leave Benin and go to Calabar, seeing their environment alone,
yes,
you can actually ask yourself, oh, why is my area dirty? Why is this area clean? Why are these people doing like this? Why are the others, you know? So going out of your house, interacting with people, you could actually get a whole lot of things. So those are the things that education, the benefit of education, it does not have limits.
Yeah.
It does not have limits because it keeps evolving every day. So in society, it's something that is very, very important.
Okay, finally for today, I know I've kept you too long. Finally, just tell us or just hint the hindrances of education in Nigeria.
Well, first and foremost, if we have to put it in a different category, first on the individual level, on the individual level, ignorance could be there, opportunity, access. I mean, want to go to the either go to school or
institutions,
learn trade. I don't have access. Economic factor can be there also. You understand? So that one could be there, both individual and the family level. But on the other side, you could now come to the government. the policies that are in place. We have a whole lot of policies that are not, either they are not being implemented or clearly spelled out. Some of these policies are copy and paste.
Or not even properly dispensed.
So copy and paste in the sense that, oh, we saw it somewhere, it's working in Uganda, oh, let's bring it to Nigeria. And
that's one of the issues Africa is having.
Use it there. You understand? So you see all these various factors coming in. Standard. Oh, we need to keep this standard is no longer there. You know, poor regulation. Like many years ago, you could have everybody, maybe they are in primary one, they could be assessed at the same level. So that can actually put all of them at the same IQ. Okay. But today, primary one in school A and primary one in school B, primary one, they don't. You don't even have a common exam to assess all of them.
Most often they are even taught different things at times.
So you don't have the same thing, like a standard to assess them. And you now ask, what is the role of the regulatory body?
All right, thank you.
What is the role of the regulatory body in some of us? So you could see it as individual, community, you understand, and the government. And lastly, we must not also forget our value system. Our value system, the value we place on it.
Yes.
Because today, before you could recognize those who went to tertiary institutions, you know, and accord them respect. But what we are seeing today is those who can spill money around.
I'm telling you,
give respect.
If you have money, you're educated. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Thank you, Mr. I'm just calling you Mr. Dr. Bright. Thank you thank you so much for coming. I'm really glad that you came, and it has been an honor having you. Well, you have heard it from us on Done on VOS TV. Like I said it before, that I was going to initiate this week a topic, and that's education, and we are going to be talking on education from different angles and on different levels, just to educate you. Now let's remember that education is knowledge and knowledge is power. Remember that. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Mary Jane Agemome. So nice for having you. Bye.
VOS TV is now in Benin. VOS TV and Media Concept is an online social media TV that specializes in broadcasting news and programs to social media platforms. Our services include live streaming of events like birthday parties, wedding ceremony, burial ceremony, school opening, church dedication services, events coverage and digital packaging, professional editing, talk show and discussion, breaking news and lots more. We can help you to reach out to the world. For inquiries and sponsorship, please contact us today at number 82 First Circular Road, Benin City. VOS TV, voice to the voiceless.